Hey there, cats and kitties. I'm the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 7 of the Doctor Who spin-off series Class, entitled The Metaphysical Engine, or What Quill Did. And this is what I'm talking about, man. This is the kind of stuff I love when it comes to science fiction programming. Teleplays that really engage the mind, get the mind thinking and contemplating and imaginative. And the idea of the metaphysical engine, this little sort of crystalline boxy thing where you twist the top and the bottom, you press its buttons, and you're literally whisked away from reality, the cold hardness of reality as we perceive it, to planes of existence that exist within thought and belief. Just a captivating, very imaginative prospect. And I thoroughly love it. I mean, you think back to things like the original series of Star Trek and really all of the myriad televised series of Star Trek, but things like The Twilight Zone, The Outer Limits, that kind of stuff. Even Doctor Who, going back to its foundation in 1963, has it revolved around ideas and concepts like this before? And I was really recalling to mind, I think it's the Series 5 episode dealing with the Dream Lord, where we basically had two realms of existence, if you will, planes of existence, that existed wholly within thought and within the mind, and was being manipulated and controlled seemingly by the Dream Lord. I won't get into the specifics of that story, for those who haven't seen it, but it's a highly recommended watch. And that's what I really loved about this, the idea that Quill is chasing down her freedom. And much as I speculated in my previous episode discussion video talking about the preview for this episode, did things play out with a sort of romantic, tie going on between Quill and the character of Balin, the actor for which I highly applaud. He was on point in this episode as being, soldier-esque. Of course, he's supposed to be a soldier, much like Quill is, but also bringing a level of humanity for an alien character, a level of pathos and relatability, and you feel really compassionate for this character, knowing that he has suffered under the thumbs of the governors, whoever they may be. Of course, the headmistress of Coal Hill Academy, she's living up to her promise of, trying to help Quill become free of this Arn that is encapsulated within her skull, I'm assuming wrapping itself around her brain stem, something like that. And anytime she has any thoughts of rebelling against Charlie and that, Arn's sort of rule on her thought processes and her brain and her body and all these kinds of things, again, a really sort of imaginative concept in that this thing will fight back and it'll punish her. And if she begins to believe, even almost imperceptibly, even to the point of not even being sure of it herself, that she shares the belief that this is something she can actually attain, this freedom is something she can actually accomplish. If she even has the most imperceptible, barely perceptible belief that that can occur, this thing can retaliate. And it's amazing because, of course, Balin is, for all intents and purposes, the air quotes surgeon who is going to be needed to get this thing out of her. And I love the worlds they are traversing. It's very theistic in its sort of, speculation as far as heaven and hell and what are those things to alien cultures. Like we go to Balin's own sort of perspective on hell, where everyone is frozen. If you've ever played Final Fantasy, any of the Final Fantasies really, but specifically 8, and you use the ability break, people get frozen into stone or enemies get frozen into stone. I was thinking like, wow, somebody unleashed a break all over the place in this guy's, form of hell, where he then has to deal with his own species god and take out its heart or take out some blood or whatever it is, which will come into play. It's very much kind of an RPG aesthetic in that Quill, the, headmistress of the academy, and Balin, they're all on this journey where they have to get all of these accoutrements together that are hard to come by. That, this is a grand quest where they have to get all these things together in order to bring about the freeing of Quill's mind. And it did play out, tragically, much as I assumed it probably would, though at the final stage, I couldn't have guessed it would play out exactly the way it did. I knew they would probably fight for a way to make themselves free again. I didn't know exactly how that would be brought about, and I knew it would be down to Quill's gun. Little could I have suspected that Balin would be the one to end up with the gun, but that it would fire on him when he pulled the trigger. That completely blew my ever-loving mind, and to see Quill crash under the weight of that, because of course, even amongst the truths that are going on in this quest, in trying to seek her freedom, in this headmistress of Cold Hill Academies, everything she's doing, it seems to have a ring of truth with it. Okay, we're going to go get an Arn in this Arn idea, this Arn's concept of the afterlife, and they do. And then we're going to go to Balin's idea of hell, and we're going to meet his god. We're going to get the blood of the god. Then we're going to go to, effectively the Quill's idea of heaven, or the birth of their species with this Quill sort of mistress beast thing, It's really too bad Balin had to be sacrificed to the cause, because I would love to have seen his character back. And I mean, this is science fiction programming, so the timey-wiminess of it and everything, they can always find a means by which to, follow up with him, or even his, air quotes, niece. The whole idea that, the bait and switch, man, that the governors and this headmistress of Cold Hill Academy put Quill and this soldier on, and then turncoating on them. I mean, you should have seen it coming, And then, of course, I was only following orders, is basically how she signs off with her little hologram in the Cabinet of Souls, which is how we see, Quill ends up, her hair growing, and time passes much more rapidly and all this stuff. And out of all of that, do we see a linking together because of how similar we all are as a species on Earth? I love that. Not only in the diversity of the cast, which is something I've touched upon before in episode discussion videos about the series Class, but in the ideas and the concepts as well, in the alien cultures. Doctor Who as a series proper, but in the spin-off, is always very good at showing us ourselves through the allegorical sort of framework of alien species and what we believe and the thoughts we have. And you can almost paint over this whole idea, like a Muslim versus Christian theology mindset. There are so many differences, and yet at the base, there are so many similarities in the way mankind has created these fictions, if you will, the way mankind believes in them, the way mankind is so willing to go to the nth degree, sometimes to the point of becoming vicious and becoming murderous and all these kinds of things. And here we have soldiers. We're also looking at it through the idea of being soldiers to a cause and fighting for freedom, fighting for family, fighting for peace. They seem like counterintuitive ideas, but it's the way the world works. It's the way our species has run itself, and it's the outlook we have. Everyone else out there in the universe, if they exist, if alien cultures exist, maybe they must sort of be similar to us. It's a very ignorant idea to have, but it's one that allows us to explore the concepts of what makes humanity what it is in this kind of framework. And I love that, once again, the characters and the characterization is what came to the fore. I truly felt for Quill, I wanted to see her succeed, because I think it is unfair of her to be under Charlie's rule, to be under his thumb. Even though we don't know the full story, really. We've had, hints and things like that given to us about what all happened with their world. And my only fear is in the aftermath of this, with Quill having attained her freedom, what else may occur? When is the other leg going to drop? Is she going to become a villain? Is she going to become the enemy to the rest of the cast at some point? It definitely seems like by the end, she's gotten knocked up. She's now with child, and that gives me pause. It's like, what's going to happen here? Because, of course, we were told that, effectively when a mother Quill births its children, they then eat the mother, to survive. It's like, yike. I don't know about that. It could really potentially give Quill an entirely new outlook on her existence, on life, on what she considers matters most. Or it could do that much more to solidify her own perspective as it is now. If she is in fact with child, if she does give birth and becomes a mother, will she see the threats she perceives of the Shadowkin and all that kind of stuff, and wanting to effectively put a gun to Charlie's head to use this Cabinet of Souls against them all and everything? Will she become hardcore for that notion? Or will she find a level of wanting to be more peaceable, wanting to be a different sort of parent than what she grew up with, what her society, understands as the parental obligation with children and all that kind of stuff. Will she be more humanitarian, for lack of a better term, being that she is, of course, non-human? All of these questions, all of these concerns, all of these, intriguing ideas and concepts, again, conceptual ideas that really percolate the mind and get the mind asking questions and becoming imaginative and contemplative. I love that about this series. I love the characters. I love the dilemmas they face. The next big hurdle in the finale yet to come, the 8th and final episode of the season, appears to be the Shadowkin, basically rearing their ugly head all over again. And it looks like, looking at the preview, I'm somewhat speechless at one particular shot where it looks as though Ram's father might be a victim to the Shadow King's cause. I'm assuming he has somehow reclaimed his power and is leading them again, whatever like that, coming to Earth to try to get back the scrapes of April's heart that he's left behind and all that kind of stuff. I don't exactly know. It looks like everyone is under threat, and who could live, who could die, really remains to be seen. At the end of the day, we're going to have to see what happens. But yeah, definitely looking forward to the finale, and that'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch y'all later. Peace.